Are the steps to getting started and becoming successful in voiceover universal no matter your age? Will they work the same for kids and teens, the younger and the not as young? Is your age an advantage or a disadvantage? Even if you don't consider yourself young, make sure that you stick around because I think this episode can help you as well. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to another episode. This is number 36 of the Voice Acting 101 podcast. I'm your host, Jason. Thanks for listening and taking time out of your day to check out this episode. Today we have another great question sent in from a listener, and it has to do with advice for young people who are just getting started in voiceover. And speaking of just getting started, don't forget, I've put together a free guide that breaks down each of the 5 steps to take to start a voiceover career. It also shows you exactly what to focus on to take your voiceover career to the next level. It's called the 5 Steps to Voiceover Success. If you don't know what steps to take, or maybe you already know but you're just feeling stuck and could use a refresher, go download the free guide. It's at voiceacting101.com/get started. And these are the same steps that I took and others I've heard from who are now successful in voiceover, and they said that it all started with this guide. So I'm sure it's going to help you too. Make sure that you go download it for yourself at voiceacting101.com/get started. Okay, today I'm very happy to have another question sent in, and this one comes from Gabriella. So let's go ahead and listen to it.
Hi, Jason. My name is Gabriella, and my question is, would you give different advice for people who want to get into voice acting who are younger, like kids, teens, and young adults?
All right, thank you for the question, Gabriella. So I started at a young age, pretty young age myself. I was around 15 years old when I got my first paid voiceover job, and I was super excited. And I was interested in voiceover even a few years before that. So I remember the thoughts and the fears and the excitement that comes from starting so young. So I would say in general, yes, everything that I talk about here on the podcast, even the 5 Steps to Voiceover Success guide that I just mentioned, it's all relevant to working in voiceover no matter your age, from the young to middle age to seniors. The main points of the plan are going to be the same for everyone. And that's mostly because the steps have more to do with the voiceover industry itself and how it works, rather than the age of the person taking those steps. So what I mean by that is no matter your age, if you're young or young at heart, you're going to want to research and you're going to want to learn about voiceover. That's step 1. You're going to need a way to record voiceover, a basic studio setup. No matter your age, you need that. Also, you're going to need to practice and train and get better. No matter your age, that's important. And then having a demo and marketing and finding the people and the companies who need voiceover and then introducing yourself to them. All of it's still very important no matter your age. How long each step takes, that's not really dependent on your age either. It's going to be different for each person. But there are some certain challenges that you're going to face that may be related to age. So one example of that would be your availability to work. You may have a busy schedule. Maybe you can only work morning hours or you can only work evening hours. It's not always a problem. But for me, most of my clients are in different time zones, and some even work outside of normal business hours. So you can make it work with your schedule, whatever your schedule is. And of course, voiceover can be a part-time thing. It can be a full-time thing. But just know that the more time that you put into it, the more dedicated you are, the faster you're going to learn and the faster your business is going to grow. And this could be a challenge someone older faces as well. It's going to be the same thing if they have a day job or if they're staying at home, maybe they're caring for kids or elderly parents, and they're using their free time to build a voiceover business. So you just want to figure out how to make it work with your schedule and then create a routine to build your business. And that's the most important part when it comes to availability. One other challenge I'll mention that I've seen for young people is poor communication. I've seen that some younger generations tend to write everything in a more casual way. They don't include punctuation. They have a lot of grammatical errors. So just keep in mind that you're working with clients of all ages, all over the world, and you want to be seen as a professional. You want to build trust that you are the person for the job. You've got great attention to detail and that you care about the quality of your work. And that's hard to do if they don't respect you because of poor communication. You're going to be judged on your communication skills, so just make sure that you're not writing your emails like you're texting. So that's just something to look out for. But there are advantages to being younger, and one of those is that you probably know technology really well. Working in voiceover means that you're going to be writing emails like we talked about, having a website, you're going to be transferring files, and you're going to be using software, maybe social media, And that's probably all going to come pretty easy to you. I know for some older people who happen to be resistant to using technology, I've seen it where just sending an email can be a struggle for them. So as a young person, if you're comfortable with technology, you're going to have an upper hand on some of the older generations in the business. And older people have advantages in other ways. Really, each age has its own advantages and disadvantages. But since this question was about starting young, I'll give a couple other advantages to starting young. And one of those would be that since you're so new to it and since you're so young, you probably haven't picked up as many bad habits yet. As you get older, you have some bad habits that you might have to break in voiceover. Hopefully, if you're new to it, you haven't even picked those up yet. You aren't set in your ways, and maybe you're more teachable at a younger age. Also, there isn't as much competition, so you're going to end up landing more of the auditions that you do just because there aren't as many people going for those jobs. Just recently, I received a message from a client, and they were asking for child voices because they said that they had some upcoming projects, but they just didn't have that many voices. So the competition is just low when it comes to young kid voices. Some clients have even sent me auditions looking for kids. I've let my kids audition for some roles, and they've even been hired for voiceover. So when there's less competition, it's going to be easier to stand out just because there are fewer voice actors going for the job. And there's one more point I'd like to mention, and this is kind of from my own experience, but when I started practicing voiceover at, 14, 15, somewhere in there, I was afraid that I sounded too young. I remember that being a fear in my head. Maybe you're thinking that too if you're starting out and you're young. And I would try to make my voice sound deeper so that I didn't sound as much like a kid. But what I didn't understand at the time was that there are voiceover jobs really for all ages. There is a market and a need for all voice ages, young and old and everything in between. So what I would say to you is just don't worry that you sound either too young or too old. There are certain jobs that I was hired for as a teenager, and then as I got older, the types of jobs changed, and they continue to change as I get older. The brands, the products, the books, the animations, the video games, all those things that require voiceover, they all have a target audience that they're going after. If you have a younger voice, odds are you're not going to be doing Medicare commercials. So just know your age, know where your voice matches the audience, and just make sure that the scripts that you're using on your demos match your voice age. So I hope that helps you in getting into voiceover at a young age. I did it. It can be a lot of fun. It's exciting, and you can learn a lot as you go. All right, before we end this episode, I'd love to know, what age did you or are you starting in voiceover? I was around 14 or 15 when I started. How about you? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to record and upload your voiceover question like Gabriella did. You can do that at voiceacting101.com/ask. That's it for this episode. I'll talk with you next time. Have a great day. Hey, thanks for checking out this episode of the podcast. If you want to see another video, there's one waiting for you right here, or you can subscribe to the YouTube channel down in the corner. Or if you want to learn the 5 steps to becoming a voice actor, check out this free guide. It's available to download from voiceacting101.com/get started. All right, that's it. I'll talk to you next time. See ya.